Good evening, everyone. Welcome to ET Interact. We have heard the phrase teamwork many times and have been attempting it for decades now. But in today's competitive world, topped with high-speed businesses, multiple devices, mobility, revenue pressures, the older methods are no longer relevant. In today's webinar, Dr. Nitin will show you the new way of working together more effectively, but with less effort. So be prepared to unlearn a few old habits to create winning teams in your organization. Dr. Nitin will help you cut through the clutter of tools available these days and explain the tools best suited for your specific needs. This webinar will show you the right way. You can then customize it to your own environment. About Dr. Nitin. Dr. Nitin Paranjape is an acknowledged business efficiency guru and is among the chosen Microsoft's most valuable professionals, MVP, worldwide, in recognition of his extensive work on the Microsoft platform. Dr. Nitin specializes in optimizing unstructured work which transforms efficiency across the organizations. He has coached over 140,000 professionals in nearly 1,000 organizations worldwide. Over to you, Dr. Nitin, to take us through the topic, efficient teamwork with Microsoft Word.
Thank you, Mansi. Before we go ahead, thanks for joining, and few things to remember. All of you must be watching it on your laptop or your screen. Make sure you are in the full screen mode so that you can see most of the stuff I'm going to show you. The entire session is recorded. The link from where you can download it is here, bit.ly Nitin ET3. And now let's dive deeper into our teamwork. Now, all of you, I'm sure, already do teamwork, but let me introduce you to a new definition of teamwork. Just read this. Assimilate it. What I'm saying is, teamwork means something which you cannot perform alone. And when I say alone, that is a rider there. That means even you can't do it in one place. If you have to do something in multiple places and multiple devices, even that is called teamwork. Yes, that's a new way of thinking about it. And of course, wherever there is one, you can have more than one. So multiple people, multiple places, and multiple devices. So all that becomes teamwork. Now, what are the components? One or more people, one or more places, or one or more devices. In earlier days, it was quite simple, but now it has become more complicated. So let's look at why it has become much more complicated. Now, at a very simple level, we have to get something done across things. Now, whatever that thing is which we are trying to get done has to be done across. What does that mean? That same thing has to be shared across different places, different people, different devices. So, the obvious problem is, how do we keep the same thing available to yourself and others across places and devices? Yeah, I know, sounds philosophical, but we will come to that, don't worry. I'm not just going to show you a PPT, I'm actually going to show you demos. So, now the first thing Microsoft did long back is they made a mistake. Actually, it was not a mistake, they themselves didn't know it because that time there was no internet. So they created a folder called My Documents. And for, I don't know, 20 years, we have been stuck to that concept of that folder called My Documents. Now, what is the keyword? The keyword is my. What does that mean? That word called my has taken over our minds. What does that mean? When I create a document, I own it. That's what we think. But think about it. In corporate world, is there really something which is mine? You're working for a company, you make a document, you may create it, but at some point of time in its lifespan, you will have to share it with someone, isn't it? But we don't think about it. We first worry about storing it somewhere, and the default position is My Documents. So let's live with that. We have been doing that for years. But let's look at what are the disadvantages of storing it in My Documents. Let's think of a simple proposal which you have to send to a customer, which is a time-bound tender, which has to be done 3 days, within 3 days. Now you need inputs from multiple people. So you create a document. You don't know all the content, so you send it to 5 different people. How do you send it? We never even thought about that question. You know how to send it. You just send it by email, correct? It has been working for us, but is it really working for us? You're going to send it as an attachment. It will go to 5 people as CC. They will put their own inputs. They will send it back to you. You have 5 CCs. Now, instead of one document, you already have 6 documents. Now you have to open each of those mails, copy paste the relevant stuff into a 7 document, and finally, is the work done? No, it is absolutely far from done, because those 5 people have written their own inputs. They don't know what other person has written. So if scope of work comes from the execution team, the costing comes from finance team. But finance doesn't know what the scope of work is at this point of time. So after having copy pasted, you will send another 6 CCs, and there'll be another iteration and another iteration, and without you realizing it, there'll be 29 copies of the same document floating around, and nobody, including you, who is the owner or creator of the document, knows exactly what is happening. And trust me, we actually call this teamwork. It should actually be called team chaos, but that's part of life. Now, I'm not blaming you. I'm not blaming Microsoft. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just saying this is part of life. What are the problems? We have too many copies, too many versions. In fact, people have the same version number, but the content is different. I'm sure you have gone through that before. It's a nightmare, and we have been living with that nightmare for a long time. So what are the disadvantages? I don't have to tell you. You already know that. Now I'm asking you to think differently. Whenever you are about to create a document, save it, and then attach it to an email, you have to think. You have to think, why am I attaching it to an email? Is it for delivery purpose, or is it for sharing purpose? Now let me explain. I am HR. I create pay slips. Everyone gets pay, and I give them the breakup. That's called a pay slip. I send it to everyone. That is called a delivery. You have a customer event and you are sending invitations. As long as the customer receives the invitation, you're not bothered. So that's called delivery. You're having a picnic and you're sending the details. That's delivery. But if I'm sending a document where I expect further input from the recipient, that is not called delivery. That is called sharing. Of course, we know that conceptually, but we have not practiced that differentiation. Whether it is delivery or sharing, we are used to doing this by one simple method, which is called email with attachments, and that is the real problem. Now we have to start differentiating between delivery and sharing. So we did have another method called departmental server for sharing things, but that's no longer relevant because departmental shares or servers have actually got a limitation because they typically are available within your organization. If you're at a customer place, it doesn't work. So what happens is we have to store it in a place. Whenever we say sharing, we have to store it in a place which is accessible to everyone involved in the sharing process. Where is that place? That is what we now call as a cloud storage. There are many players there. I'm not only saying Microsoft. You know all these, and some of them you may be already using. Now, whatever you are using, I'm asking you a question. You don't have to answer to me, but you answer it to yourself. How do you use that OneDrive or Dropbox or whatever Google Drive you have? You create a document, you store it in My Documents first because we are still possessive about my document. And then you say, okay, wherever is the Dropbox or Google Drive or OneDrive, let me upload it there. And then share that as a link. No, that is not the way. That is pathetic. That's absolutely bad. That is misusing the technology to the core. Why am I saying that? because the very essence of the word share means what? Many of us share a car to go to the work. We call it carpooling. When I say I'm sharing the car, do we send the car by CC or do we make one copy locally and one copy in the office? No. The concept of sharing is whatever it is that is being shared has to be a single thing at all times, and that is where we fail. So whatever method of cloud storage you are using, if you are using it this way, you are using it in a wrong way. Is that clear? So let's go further. So the real means of sharing, whatever it is, it has to be in one place and always one copy. And that's why Microsoft chose a brand name called OneDrive. What is OneDrive? A place where a single copy of whatever you are trying to share, typically documents, will be stored. But there is another meaning to the word one. When we use Office 365 or the regular free version of OneDrive, so the word one has one more meaning. It also means for one person. What does that mean? Like we had My Documents, which was essentially documents created by you, one person. Instead of storing it on your PC or laptop, you now store it on OneDrive. So it is one person's document and one copy of the document, and the only copy which will ever be there of that thing. That is called OneDrive. So there are two flavors of OneDrive. I'm sure you know about it. The personal version is free. You just create a login ID with live.com or outlook.com or Xbox or whatever. Older Hotmail also works still. Any Microsoft ID, and you get free 7 GB of personal OneDrive space. If you have Office 365, then you get 1 terabyte of space, which very soon is going to become unlimited space, in case you didn't know that. Not that it's going to help you, because I'm sure you have been in business long enough. Earlier we had 100 MB hard disk and we thought it is big and it got full. Then we had 1 TB hard disk, it also got full. So just because storage capacity is given to you does not mean the human being is going to automatically use it. Typically we misuse rather than use more effectively. So anyway, let's go further. So now I just want to do a quick poll to find out how many of you already use OneDrive. So let me just bring up the poll. Just give me a second. Okay, I'm just giving a few seconds for people to respond, because we have lots of people on the webinar, and thanks for that. All right, so it looks like almost 50-50 right now, so I'm going to stop the poll now and we will go ahead. Never mind, if you are not able to answer, that's fine. It's not a very important, precise question I asked. I just wanted to know the overall distribution in the general population who are attending. So it's 50-50. Fair enough, no problem. What I'm trying to show you now is what is the difference between personal and what would I say? Personal and business use of OneDrive. So personal means you use it for personal use and business use it for business. Agreed. But there is one demarcation there. Very often there are external agencies whom you want to work with, and you may not want to give them access to your intranet. In that case, in some cases, you may still end up using personal OneDrive. So don't think personal and business OneDrive is a watertight thing. In some cases, you may use personal OneDrive to expose it to some external agencies. We'll see that as we go ahead. Now, let's look at what are the benefits. The important benefit, as I said earlier, is teamwork. Now, when I say teamwork, I'm not talking about more than one person. I'm talking about you. Consider a situation where you created a document while you were in office, and then you went home. Tomorrow you have a customer meeting and the document is lying in your PC in your office, but you are not gone to office. You are directly going to customer. You already mailed the document, but you want to edit it. Now you don't get that document because that is stuck on your PC on the base on your premises in your office. How do you solve the problem? Put it on OneDrive for business. Access the OneDrive from business somewhere, even from customer machine, it doesn't matter. If required, make some edits and give it. So first thing is benefit. Once you store it in cloud, it's accessible from all devices. And what do I mean by all devices? It's not only Microsoft PCs and laptops. It could be Android tablets. It could be iPads as well. In fact, I hope you know that Office is available for iPads as well. And of course, not full functionality of Windows-based Office, but very significant functionality. And I'm very happy to say that just few days back, Microsoft released Word, Excel, PowerPoint, even for Android phones. Now, using those, you can not just do a superficial edit, you can actually do a significant edit of documents on your mobile phone, on Android or iOS or iPad or a tablet without having the real full version of Office and Windows. So that itself liberates you. There is still one person involved, but the teamwork in this sense is you are able to be more effective even if you don't have your primary device with you and you're not sitting in your primary location. Now, another aspect of it, of course, is for teamwork. So if I have one document and I want inputs from other people, how do I do it? So let's see a demo and then you will realize it better. So I have this document here. Now, by the way, sometimes when I show on a webinar, what I show and what you see, there is a delay. So I have another laptop with me which is connected on a different slow network. So I'm going to wait till the slower machine sees my screen. So sometimes you may feel that I'm just taking a random pause, but I'm not. I'm just waiting for everyone to see the screen so that what I'm speaking and what I'm showing is properly synchronized. So this is just a sample document, Word document, nothing great. I have introduction, concepts, details, and I want to share it with someone. Before that, I want to store it somewhere. Now remember what I said. I'm not going to store it in my documents, because if I store it in my documents and then upload it to whatever OneDrive, that's already bad because there are not one drive now. We have two drives because one is my local drive and one is OneDrive. So that's bad. So Microsoft made it so easy for us. When you go to save as or save, it shows you all your locations. First time, of course, you'll have to add a place and put your OneDrive and log in once, but second time you don't have to bother. So now I'm going to store it on OneDrive on my corporate location and I'm calling it ET webinar on collaboration. Okay, job done. Now, nobody likes to go to SharePoint, nobody wants to go to a browser because I'm working in Office and I'm comfortable looking at Office, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, whatever. Now, if IT tells me that if I have to share the document, I have to go to browser, find that OneDrive location, remember the URL, nobody is going to do that. Nobody did that actually. In fact, what I'm showing you is not new. Conceptually and technically, it has been available for 10 years, but the entire world never adopted to it because it was cumbersome. So now, I have stored the document centrally. At least one part is done. At least I can get the document very easily anywhere I go, as long as I have internet access. But now I want to share it with some people. How do I do that? So let's look at that part of the story. So what am I going to do now? I'm going to go to File, in Word, and I say Share. Now remember, this is 2013. If this was older version, then the menus are a little different and more cumbersome. Now I'm going to share it with a colleague of mine. I just put the email address. If I want to, I can check the email address also. And then most important, and this, notice it very carefully, I am able to decide whether this person can read it or edit it. This may not sound like a big thing. It's just a drop down with two options. What is the big deal? The big deal is for 20 years, when you are sending a document with CC, which is what we would have done in this situation, you never bothered to realize that the CC is actually a copy and the recipient can do anything they want with that. Unless you have protected the document, they can open it, they can edit it, they can change the author name to their own, they can copy paste the data, send it to competitor, they can say I did it, they can take the credit for it. You had zero control. So that is why email with attachments is a dangerous thing. You have no control once you send a CC. Whereas here, I'm not sending the document at all. I'm just sending a link to it and deciding what the person can do. That gives you control which you have never got in life till now. Remember that. Okay, so now I say share. Now let's go to the other side. Now I don't want to switch laptops because we have limited time. So I have the same person called demo. This person logged in on another browser. Now this is browser Chrome, and I'm also showing you that all thing works on Chrome as well, or Firefox for that matter, or Safari. Now notice what's happening. I got a notification as a demo user. Notice that this person is a different person, that someone has shared this document with me, ET webinar on collaboration. So now I'm going to click on it. There's no attachment. I'm going to open it. Notice where it opened. It opened in the same browser. As of now, it is not editable, but if I want to view it, I can do it. If I want to edit it, there is an option on top called edit document, and it gives me two options. Edit in Word, which is a full featured version of Word, which I could edit on my machine wherever I am. Another person I'm talking about, by the way. I can't do that right now because I'm the same physical machine, so I'm going to open it in Word Online, which is a browser version of Word. Now remember, all other so-called cloud editing tools like Google or others only allow you simultaneous browser-based editing. What Word, PowerPoint, Excel allow you is editing where people are using the full version of Word and PowerPoint. So now notice this is the browser. I am editing the document here. Now, did you just realize that in Word I am already editing the document as another user? This was impossible to do on a file share. So if you store a document on a departmental share, I have opened it, nobody else can open it. In fact, they'll get an error message saying this is being opened by XYZ and wait till that person finishes. And that was another problem why we were forced to send CCs, because then at least, because we are sending copies rather than the original document, people can at least edit without interfering with each other or without blocking each other. But now there is no blocking. How did this miracle happen? Because it is stored on OneDrive or SharePoint for that matter. So now observe very carefully. You may get confused, so I'm going to divide the screen into two parts. The left part is one person editing the document, and the right side is another person editing the document. Notice that left side is Word and right side is Word but on a browser. So now notice, how will those two people know that they are editing the document? So I'm going to start editing this document on the right side. I'm just going to type one sentence here and I'll call it demo. And because this is happening on a browser, this gets saved automatically. And then the other person will be informed simultaneously about the fact that another person is editing. And more importantly, now we have a different problem at hand. What is the problem we have? I may be editing something, someone else may be editing the same paragraph, and we will end up confusing each other. Now that is also taken care of. Right now I cannot demonstrate it fully because we have limited time, but what really happens is if I start editing a paragraph, it gets locked for me. Earlier the document used to get locked. Now what happens? Only the paragraph gets locked. So it's much better. What does that mean? Multiple people can simultaneously edit the same document and give you a better quality document with no version confusion, no multiple copies happening, and in a much faster way. So that is how simultaneous editing is a completely new way of looking at teamwork, which we have just not noticed. And you'll feel bad that this particular feature is available for last, I don't know how much, 6 years. People just have not noticed it. So remember, one of the most important benefits is simultaneous editing. Now, there is another aspect of this. Let's say multiple people are editing at multiple different points of time. Fair enough? Okay. But then earlier we had my version on my document, then I sent it to someone, they edited it, I got an email, that was a physically different document. So essentially all the edits were saved somewhere. So if there was a dispute about who did what and something went wrong, I could always figure out where the copy is and then look at the changes between the previous and the next version. But now things have changed. I have only one copy of it, and everyone seems to be editing the same copy, which is a good thing, of course, but from a versioning point of view, it is a very bad thing. Why am I saying that? Because when I write something, the previous thing is deleted. How do I go back to it? If there is a dispute and someone says, I never did it, what is the proof I have? I need the older version. So how is that done? Just give me a minute. Okay, so how is that done? You don't have to worry. Microsoft is already doing it. So notice I have, just for saving time, I have edited this document multiple times before. And when I go to File, in my File menu itself, it shows me Manage Versions, and it shows me at times where I have saved the document with different edits. So I have saved it at some time, and then version 1, version 2, version 3, and of course you can decide how many versions you can have. Now right now it's only one person who has edited, but potentially it could have been edited by 20 different people. That simultaneous editing thing works with unlimited number of people. It's a brilliant tool. You have no idea how technically complex it is, but trust me, it works so smoothly. I have shown this demo thousands of times. Everyone has clapped for it. I know you can't clap now, never mind, but there is a problem. After clapping, I have to go to the same customer 6 months later and ask the same people, have you used it? After having clapped, unfortunately, the uptake is very low. Do you know why? Because demo sounds nice. When you have to use it in real life, you are scared because you have awareness but not conviction. So what I strongly suggest is you must try this yourself. Unless you try it with your team, your friends, whoever, you will not get the conviction and confidence to use it fully. And in spite of knowing the benefits, you will not end up using it. That is one of the primary reasons why these cloud related things don't get fully adopted globally. So versioning is taken care of. Now let's look at what further we can do with it. Now, one more problem is, let's say I have lots of documents. Let me show you my OneDrive and then we will get a better picture. This is my OneDrive. I have many documents. Some documents are only for me. Some documents I have shared whenever I felt like. How do I know which ones are shared? So look at this. This is called OneDrive, which is basically like a folder where I can store 1 terabyte of my files. Ideally, you should not store it in root directory. You should create folders so it's more manageable. And now notice, wherever you see a lock icon, that means it is shared only with me, which is the default. You don't have to worry. Not even Microsoft's administrator, where this is stored, Microsoft Office 365, can see your document. Forget about your IT administrator. Nobody can see it. trust me. Now, if you have shared it, the icon changes to this called shared. If it is shared only one person, then it will show you the name. It's shared with multiple people, it will just say shared. Now, if you have shared it with someone and then they have finished editing it, and now you don't want to edit it or you don't want to share it with people, then what happens? That's another situation. So what happens now is I have forgotten whom I have shared it with also sometimes. So what happens now? I go to File, I go to Share Still, and notice I can see that I have already shared it with this person. Now I don't want to share it with that person any longer because that person has given me inputs and job is done. So all that you do is right click there and say remove user. What does that do? It removes that person's rights. Do you understand how much control you have? It's not only one time decision of edit or view. I'm saying allow editing one time and saying don't have access at all after a few minutes or after a few days. So that is the level of control we have when we are talking about real collaboration. Okay, now this is Word. Let's look at Excel. Excel is a different ball game. Let's say I have this Excel file and I have this data. Some of you may have attended my session on analytics before, but I'm assuming it's a fresh start. So this is my data. It's analytical data about credit cards. Every row here explains transaction. When was it done? Where was it done? Which card was used for what type of expense and so on. Now I have created some pivot table for it, which shows me age groups and the card usage. I also have a new method of analyzing data called Power View, which shows me amount by card type, amount by expense type, and a map of which state in India has used it. I'm not going to explain how exactly this was done. You can actually see my webcast or search for Power View, and there are lots of videos created by many people. Now, this is what we do very often. We get some raw data, we make some reports, and we have to submit those reports to someone. That someone could be inside the company, that someone could be outside the company, whatever. Fair enough. Now what do we do? How do we do it? Again, CC with attachments. We should not do it. What should we do now? File, save as, OneDrive, and then share, and then invite people, and then put the name of the person like I did before, and then check the name, and then decide whether they can edit or view, and then share. Exactly the same way as we did for Word. Remember, the method remains exactly the same for PowerPoint and Visio as well. So what am I saying? The entire method in which we used to do day-to-day activities has improved for better. Some of you may have known it before, some of you are realizing it now, but what is more important is not just to realize it, but to practice it and implement it. But wait, this document I wanted to share with one person. Let's see what happens next. I have shared it with this person, so let's go to this browser, which is a demo user login. And in this particular browser, I'm going to go to the mailbox, and this is the same report. And then when I click on it, and notice this is a different person now whom I shared it with, the person called demo. What is happening? It is opening it in a different place, and it requires, of course, something called Silverlight. So this is Chrome. It doesn't support Silverlight, but it has a button here. This is called HTML5 version. Just click on that button, and I'm showing you this file in Chrome, and you see that exactly the same functionality is available here. And just to show you the functionality itself, which some of you may not know, these are not just two pie charts and one map. When I actually go, I can zoom in, zoom out, I can see actually up to street level if I really want to, but that's not all. Now, let's say I want to see entertainment related expenditure. I can see that in this pie chart, but I want to see entertainment expenditure broken down by card type and also shown on the map. So I want to see which state is using entertainment expenditure, how much. So when I click here, notice what's happening. This is interactive. This becomes a filter. Now this card type thing is filtered by entertainment, and so is the India map bubbles. Now if I change this and I go to fuel, notice that everything else will change accordingly. These changes may not be, this is random data, so exact changes you can see better now. So what am I doing? What did I do? Now I created a report. I saved it directly to OneDrive. I sent a link to someone, and that's it. That someone clicks on the link and they get to see the report, but it is not a static report. Do you realize the importance of it? Today what happens? When I make a report, first I store it in local drive, obviously, and then I don't even attach it to email. It is even worse. Why not? Because we have a different problem there. When it comes to Excel files, files may be very large, and you may have restrictions on how large an email can be if you want to send an attachment to someone. So what does that mean? What does that mean? That means if it is a very large file and either you can't send it or the recipient can't receive it, or both, which is a common thing actually, what happens? You copy paste the report as values and send it to the other party. The file size does get reduced, but then the analytical capability, the interactivity, the pivot tableness of it is completely lost. Now notice we also had a pivot table. So I'm on Chrome browser now. I'm showing you pivot table. This is Chrome browser based pivot table created in Excel, shared with the person, and I can actually do not just filtering, which is easy. I'm actually going to decide to add something there. I'm going to put year as well along with this, and let me put year here. So notice what happened, the pie chart got changed. Or I want to only see year rather than age, I remove it. Now it is showing me by year. What am I doing now? I'm not just sending a static pivot table to someone. I am actually sending an interactive pivot table to someone, but that someone doesn't even need Excel. They are doing it on browser. That is called real teamwork. And I'm sorry to say, but this has been available for last 7 years at least, if not more. And many of your organizations may already have the desired infrastructure required. It's just that nobody told anybody and nobody asked anybody, so nobody did it. It's a lost opportunity. All right, now let's go further. I know you have questions. Please post those questions on the question window, and I will try to handle as many as possible at the end of the session. But let's go further. There is more to it than just Excel reports. But at least as far as Excel reports are concerned, what are we doing now? Store the file on SharePoint, share it with the person whom you intended to send it to, and job is done. But wait, there is another problem. I have this data which is for Jan, and in Feb or next year or next month or whatever, I'm going to get more data, and I'm going to copy paste that data at the bottom of this file, and now it has become 2015 July report. Next month it will become August report, like that. And what am I going to do next time? I'm just going to open the file from my OneDrive, append the data as desired, and just save the file. Next month, I'm not going to send even that link to that other person because the link has remained exactly the same. So, especially when it comes to periodic reporting rather than ad hoc document management, which we saw earlier, sharing like this and teamwork like this is even more beneficial. Why? Because I send the link once, second, third, fourth, whatever periodicity there is, the link doesn't change. All that the other party has to do is save that link somewhere and click on it. They will always see the latest report, which is very nice. But there is a problem. Earlier, I used to physically go to File, Save As, and say this is Jan report. And then physically go to File, Save As, and say this is Feb report. Like that, I would have 12 different files. Now, I have only one file, which is stored in OneDrive, as the name suggests, which is good from all the points of view we have discussed, but if my boss wants to see the backdated report of Jan when the current month is August, how do we do it? I'm sure you already know the answer. It's called versions. So I have not yet saved versions of this file, so you don't see, but typically you will see all the document versions here. So boss has to just say, show me the Jan version. And in fact, new version of Excel allows you to compare the Jan version with the August or whatever version and show you the differences. That particular feature is called inquire. It has a beautiful feature called compare files, which actually gets automatically invoked when you open the latest file and a version previous copy. It actually prompts you saying, do you want to really compare the files? Then it will actually show you the differences. So without you having to do any manual work, you can actually see the same number, what was it in Jan and what was it in August. Finally, there is one more problem. How will the other party know that you have changed the file? And that is a question, because first time you're going to send them the link, second time onwards you're not sending them anything. They can come anytime and look at the report, and it will be the latest report, which is good. But if they want to know when the next report has been updated, you're not sending them anything. There's no information sent from your side proactively. So who should do it? SharePoint can do it. So if that other party was interested in knowing what has been sent to them in that sense, and they want to know whenever it changes next time, what should they do? That is what I'm trying to show you now. They should not ask you saying, please send me another CC with the same link. That is defeating the purpose. What they should actually do, and you need to inform them or educate people about it, is to tell them that go to that particular file and create what we call as an alert. So let me try to show you the user interface where you can create an alert. And that alert is shown here. Just give me a second, wrong place. So if you have a document library or OneDrive, you go to a particular document, and when you do that, you will see alerts. So you say notify me or inform me, and that SharePoint will give you those alerts. So just give me a second. Let me go to the right place. So I go and select a document. Let's say whenever this accounts receivable report is changed, I want to know. I'm not the one changing it. Someone else is doing it. My subordinate, my colleague, whoever. I want to know. So I go to this file tab after selecting this file and say alert me. So when I say alert, what happens? It asks you, when do you want to be alerted? When someone else changes the document. That is what we are really interested in this case. And then you say okay. Now it also allows you to decide how often do you want it, but generally you want it immediately. Now the other person will know automatically. SharePoint will send them a notification when you have changed the file. So that's how things become very streamlined. Now all this is good, but there is some delay involved. I made some change, then someone looked at it, they got a notification, they edited it. But sometimes if you want immediate communication. So let's see how that is done. And that is where this thing called Skype for Business comes into picture. So this is another user called demo. I want something done quickly from this person. So what am I going to do? Let's say this is my file. I don't want to send it as a link also. I don't want to send it as attachment definitely, but I don't even have time to store it on OneDrive and send it as a link and hope that that person will look at the inbox and click on the link and edit it. I'm sitting in front of customer. I want some pricing to be finalized now. And I want my boss to look at it. I'm sitting in the reception and I want the answer now. I don't even want answer. I just want my boss to take over my Excel sheet, finish it off, and job done. So I'm just going to try to show you this. So what am I going to do? I can use Skype for Business here, but then I'll have to search for my boss's name, which is demo. I could have gone there. Then I want to share something. So okay, I say present. Then I would say present a particular program, and it will show me all the things which are running here. one of which is this Excel file. So I will choose that Excel file, and then eventually it will happen. But isn't that cumbersome? It is. So you don't leave Excel. You go to File, you still go to Share, and look at the other options which we have not done till now. So let me explain these options. But before that, let's finish this. I'm saying present online. That means I want instant results. When I say present, notice what happens. It's saying, do you want to start a new Skype meeting? I say yes. So it starts a new Skype meeting. And then it says, whom should I call now? So you can just add your person, whoever it is, and then share your screen with them directly. So now this is the meeting. I'm just going to stop it because I can't show a webinar along with the meeting right now, but you get the idea. Bottom line is, I'm not sending anything. The person can be given rights to do editing, and my job is done. So that is a different kind of teamwork. It's instant. There is no patience. There is no time. There is no waiting period. That's another thing you have to look at. So that is called Link. It was earlier called OCS, Office Communication Server. Then it was called Link. Now it is, for simplicity, called Skype for Business. All right. So there is one more thing when it comes to PowerPoint, which you may not know about. So let me try to show you that. I'm going to create a new PowerPoint presentation. 1, 2, and 3. And in this, I'm just going to apply some new design just to make it a little different. And all these slides I'm going to convert to the same layout so we can make out the difference. And each of them I'm going to give a different design. Don't worry about how I'm doing it. If you can notice it, fine. Otherwise, you can try it yourself later. Basically, I'm saying apply to selected slides. So I have 3 slides which look different. Now, I want to present this to my customers. Maybe it's sort of a webinar. I don't have Link, I don't have GoToMeeting, I don't have Cisco, I have nothing. I just have PowerPoint. What do I do now? Very interesting question. All that I do is, of course, save the file and say share, and then I say present online. And especially for PowerPoint, we have, and actually for Word as well, we have a very special service which is completely unknown in the world and beautifully done by Microsoft called Office Presentation Service. I click there and I say I want to present online. That's it. I don't care how it is done. So it says, okay, just wait, give me a moment. It will upload your slides, encrypt them, upload them to Microsoft server called Office Presentation Service. I'm really doing this live. And then it will give you a big complicated looking URL link. Just copy it and then mail this link to your customer or target audience. Now I'm just simulating that by putting it on another browser. So I'm just pasting that link here. Assume this was your customer, and again I'm going to divide the right part of the screen for the customer, and the left side of the screen is my presentation. So notice I'm going to start the presentation now. But wait, let's see what happened to the customer. It's saying waiting for the presentation because you have not yet started it. Fair enough. And you can do this for up to 50 people at a time, which is great. No cost, no money to be paid to anyone. Just do it. Now I'm going to start the presentation. Now it's starting here, and see what happened in the browser. It is also shown on the browser. When I click on the next slide, it has already changed on the browser. I'm actually showing it live. It beautifully shows all the transitions, animations. There is no loss of color. Right now you may see some loss of color because of GoToMeeting, but when you're directly doing it from PowerPoint through Office Presentation Service, absolutely no loss. It's brilliant. So this is another method which has been available for many years and nobody has even realized it. So this is called present online, and trust me, this can be done even for Word. For example, you have a proposal, you just want to browse through it along with the other party so that if there is any obvious clash, we can just finish it off and remove iterations of sending it by link or by email or whatever. So same thing works with Word as well. So what do I do to Word? I go to File, I go to Share, I go to Present Online, And of course, the other party has Skype, fine. Otherwise, I still say office presentation. They will get a link, send that link to people. People can browse. And when you scroll on your machine, it will automatically scroll on their machine. So we are actually talking about the same paragraph or page. It's brilliant, simple, intuitive, and extremely useful. Again, I'm saying you may get impressed, but that's no use. You have to try it out. Now, there are other methods of sharing and working together which I want to explain. This is what we have been doing with typical cloud storage. We store a document there, and then I have too many people to share it with, so I don't want to put their email IDs one by one, so I just want a sharing link. So click here. It will give you two links. One is for viewing and one is for editing. You decide which one you want, and then you can just send the link to people. When do you do this? When you have a large target audience and either you don't know their email IDs or you know them but you don't want to specifically do this, or probably publish it on your website, on your brochure, something like that. Now if it's time bound, for example, it's a price list for this month, you want to give it to dealers, so you just put it on your sales page. Dealer have a login on the sales page, so you don't have to worry. They download this or look at it. Now next month it is going to change, so they should not by mistake look at the previous month list and take a wrong proposal or a wrong quotation. No problem, you can always change this, right click here and say disable link next month and create a new link next month. So everything is thought of. But what are we really interested in or used to? Email. So now look at how beautifully Microsoft is trying to educate the world how to use email. As I have always told you since beginning of this session, email with attachment for sharing is your enemy. For delivery, email with attachment is okay. For sharing, it is not okay. And that part Microsoft is telling you here. So if you say send as attachment, it says everyone gets a copy. If you say send as link, it says everyone gets the same copy. You can see latest changes and keeps the email size small. So they're actually marketing the benefits of sending it as a link rather than the attachment to you. Unfortunately, nobody looks at this button, everyone clicks on it, and job is badly done. Alright, so let's go further. Now, till now, what have we talked about? We have talked about documents, reports, and stuff like that. But it's not limited to that. It's one of the most beautiful products is OneNote. Let's say you're working on a common project. Let's say you're a marketing person, and you're working with an agency outside. What do? They send you artwork, and then you have to iterate with it. You have to make changes. Then they send you another artwork. Then you have to do all that. They send you quotation. All sorts of things happen. So this time we are going to collaborate better. You say file new. Of course, you choose whether it's personal or if you don't have Office 365, then you'll have to use personal. Otherwise, use Office 365. Create a new notebook and call it agency. Now, create a notebook. What happens? A notebook will get created on OneDrive, all that. Now, how does the agency know that the creation has happened? Don't worry, exactly the same method. In fact, it asks you, you have created a shared notebook, but as of now, only you know about it. Do you want to invite some people? No problem. Let me invite. What are we seeing now? Exactly the same dialogue which we have seen earlier with Word and Excel. So you know the story now. Just send the names of the people. It could be external people, absolutely no problem. And then exactly the same job is done. So now when your external agency has to send you an artwork, they just post it in OneDrive. You will get a notification because it has changed, and then you can go back to it, annotate it right there on OneNote. And let me show you how that is done, because some of you may not have used OneNote at all. So I'm just going to go to my demo OneNote notebook and show you how annotation is done. So I have some picture here. Let's say a floor plan which my architect is working on, and multiple iterations have happened, but not a single email has been shared between that person and me. Original plan was shared. I wanted some changes. Now I have one more change. I go to draw menu. I choose some color and I say this part I don't like. I want it to be shifted by this much amount. I want to type something there, no problem. Just double click and I'm just increasing the font size and say move this. Black and black not seen properly, no problem. Select the font and you can highlight it also. Now, what has been sent to whom? Nothing has been sent to anybody. Now your vendor can see it, take action, put another page or another diagram, and job is done. Problem? Versioning. Don't worry. There is a history tab here in OneNote, and this is very special to OneNote. When I go to page versions here, it has actually remembered all the things which have happened with this on this page. So notice multiple people have touched this page, they have done different things to it, they have annotated it, they have changed it. So I can go back to 2013 and see how it was. Then someone made some other change, then someone made some other change, and the entire history with audit trail is available here. I hope you are realizing that almost every activity you are performing can be improved beyond our imaginations by just using these simple methods. All that is required is to relook at what we do every day, understand what the platform is capable of, and then start utilizing it. And again I'm saying, just awareness is not enough. You have to actually practice it so that you can start using it. Now, once you start using it, you will realize another problem. There are some issues where you're not sending anything. You want to ask some question to someone within the organization, but you don't know whom to ask. If you knew it, you would have sent a mail or called them or chatted with them. So that is where another tool called Yammer comes into picture, where we actually post it on Yammer. It's like a social networking site internally, and then whoever is looking at it and knows the answer will answer it. So that's another capability available. Another option, you did something innovative, you did some customer win, and you want people to know about it, not just to show off, of course to show off, but not just to show off. You want other people also to use that knowledge for further work. Anyway, you're going to get brownie points out of that. So where do you post it? You can't send a mail to everyone. That will sound too pompous, and most companies won't allow you to send a mail to everyone, technically. So again, you post it on Yammer. So typically, what things could not be done formally could be done using an internal social network called Yammer. It's another communication channel. It's not instant like Link or Skype for Business, but it's a completely different way of looking at things. For example, I am creating a policy. I'm changing some HR policy. I will create the document when everyone accepts it. But the fact that I'm trying to change the policy from before to after, I want to get feedback from people. Or R&D is creating a new product and they want a name for it and they want everyone to contribute. Imagine sending a mail to everyone and then you get 100 mails and trying to find out, put it on Yammer, and then you will get to see it. So we now suddenly, apart from just sending a dumb email with attachment, we have many choices. You may not see the animation exactly, but never mind. I'm just going to stop it at the exact place. So what do we have now? Never mind the clouds moving. We have still the ability of sending an attachment. We have OneDrive, we have Yammer, we have Link, we have SharePoint. So now, assuming you have all this and you know how to use them, you should be feeling more empowered rather than more confused. But in reality, what happens? First of all, in reality, it never happens that everyone has all these capabilities and they know about it. Many of your companies may have all this, but nobody told you, so you don't know them. And even if you know that it exists, you don't know how to use it. But let's assume that you know all these tools, you have all these tools, and you know them how to use it technically. You're not empowered because you suddenly get too many options instead of just a quick and dirty way of sending a mail and attachment. Now you have to use your discretion to decide which tool to use when. And that kind of communication, that kind of training, that kind of applied knowledge, which is discretionary, it cannot be forced. IT cannot tell you what to use the next tool. You have to choose. So that is never done. So here is a summary of different communication options. I'm not going to read all of them. Left side shows you day-to-day common requirements and right side shows you recommended methods. And of course, in this session, because we have limited time. I have not covered many new features like Delve or groups in Office 365, maybe some other time. So, of course, this is getting recorded. So even if you don't have time to read the whole thing, it's okay. We have already run out of time, so I have to finish now. And I will take questions, of course. But you get the idea. Just having tools and technical knowledge is not enough. What is more important is discretionary applied intelligence, and that is never done in a logical, sensible way. Because IT's job is to deploy, HR's job is to arrange few training programs which typically go half empty, and then nobody learns anything. So there are, of course, I'm sure you'll have more ideas on how to use all these things better, because it's technological capabilities which I was primarily trying it to business context, of course, is your expertise and discretion. I can't really interfere with that, and I don't have the knowledge because so many people from different industries are attending this. So you are the best judge. So what is the recap? What did we learn today? First thing is, even your work can be considered as teamwork. Second thing is, whatever it is shareable has to be stored in a single place. And obviously everything has to be shared with self by default so that you can access it across devices and across locations. But with others, you only need to share it on demand. And then all this, you are attending this session, maybe you are convinced about it, maybe you will try it, maybe you are really good at it, but still it's not going to work. Essentially requires more than one person. So unless you teach the benefits and convince others in your team or your associates externally, it's still not going to work. Trust me, I have tried this. People like it, they clap, they give me 5 out of 5 feedback, they pay me money also for telling it. But when I go there 1 year later, people are still sending CCs with attachments in spite of having all the tools. Why? Because there is inertia on one side and the other party doesn't know what I told. So it is now your job to convince everyone around you to use all these capabilities better, because who is going to benefit? It's not Microsoft who is benefiting, it is you as well as the other party who is going to benefit. So you do need to have a little bit of patience, but yes, it is absolutely worth the effort. So that's all I have as far as the session is concerned. Just a summary slide. Whatever I've shown and more is available on my website. I write a blog every day called Efficiency 365. Why is it called 365? Because I write an article every day. There are 600 plus articles there, including many on teamwork and much more detail than what I could cover today. And the session which we are currently doing is being recorded and it will be available at this particular site. So now let me stop the recording. Of course, the recording will be available after half an hour. But you may be wondering how the URL of a video which is not yet recorded can be shown before the video is recorded. Don't worry, just read my blog, the answer is there as well. But while it is happening, let me take questions. So let me see if there are questions. Okay, now to be fair to everyone, I'm going to take questions in chronological order. We have lots and lots of questions. I'll try to cover as many as possible. And I am going to record questions as well as a separate video, although I may not show demos, but at least the audio will be useful. So just give me a minute. So the first question is audio problem, audio problem, audio problem. Okay, what is the continuum feature which comes with Windows 10 and Office? As far as the features which I have mentioned, Office in that sense is not really dependent on Windows 10 right now. Of course, there are Office apps for Windows 10 which have more limited functionality than the full version apps. So whatever I'm showing you is completely valid on Windows 10 as well. All right, so let's go further. Just give me a minute. Okay, so I'm going to next questions. All right, some troubleshooting, which I'm sure already happened. Yes, very good question. In fact, I could not cover it. I skipped one slide. I have documents on OneDrive, but sometimes I don't have internet connection. So how am I going to manage that? Very good question. So if you are still active, let me show you one demo quickly just to answer that question. When you go to OneDrive, there is a button called Sync. So when you click on this Sync, first time it will download a component, and that component will make sure whatever you have on OneDrive, which is essentially stored on the cloud or Microsoft data center, wherever it is also available to you on your desktop or laptop or tablet or all of them, because this happens across devices. So you should ideally sync on all devices. Once you say sync and the base job is done, all further documents you store in OneDrive are auto-synced. So even if you are not connected, you will be able to get the document, you will be able to edit it, and when you come back to your office and then connect to it, you don't have to remember to update it. Like we have sync in Dropbox and Google Drive and so on. The difference here is, in your case, you had a document, you were offline. While you were offline, someone changed the paragraph. You also changed the paragraph, but that time you were not online, so we couldn't block that. Now, Word or PowerPoint will detect that as a problem, and then it will give you a conflict resolution dialog saying while you were editing it, the same thing was also being edited by someone else. This person did this, you did this. Now you choose what you want to do. So it's extremely sophisticated and talented. But of course, from a user point of view, it's very, very simple. Just try it out and then you'll realize how nice it is. Yes, there is a nice suggestion here that maybe my document should automatically be synced to OneDrive. That thought has already come to Microsoft, but there are reasons why they didn't do it. Because my documents, all documents you may not want to put on OneDrive, because even if there is enough space. In fact, your laptop will have less space than OneDrive because it's 1 TB. But as of now, there is a limit of 20,000 documents. And just because it's available, you shouldn't put documents. Some document which is very old, which you're never going to share, just keep it. You have to be discretionary. So technically, yes, but practically, they have chosen you to decide which documents go on OneDrive. So the correct situation is, when you get OneDrive, first sync it. Let it be blank, no documents. So now you will get a folder in your normal file explorer like this called OneDrive. And there you choose the documents which you want from your My Documents and move them there. Remember, move, not copy. Otherwise, we are having the same mistake again and again. Okay, next. I never knew we can do so much with Office Online. That's great. Thank you, Yash. How do you handle people who will not adopt to this amazing technology? I already covered that. It does require patience, but the reason why people don't adopt to it is very simple. You have not answered the question, what is in it for them? So show benefit not for you, for the other party, then they have no choice but to adopt it, because everyone wants benefit. In case of Excel, can you tell if two persons working on the same file should be rock? No. Okay. the simultaneous editing feature works differently for Excel. Excel is a very, very complex product because it's not about editing alone. If I edit one cell, that cell may have formula references to 1,000 other cells. So for 25 years, Excel allows you to share a file, put it on a file share, and multiple people can edit it. That feature is still there. But when you put it on SharePoint on a browser, it is too difficult technically to manage all the dependencies. So when you put an Excel file on OneDrive, multiple people can simultaneously edit it, but the restriction is all those people must be using the browser version of Excel. And in that situation, if the same cell is edited by more than 2 people, the last person wins. You don't get a conflict resolution dialog, you don't get a history. So if you are really interested in history and conflict resolution and an audit trail of who did what in a simultaneous editing scenario, we still have to use a shared folder, unfortunately. I'm hoping it will improve, but as of now, due to extreme technical complexity, it is not available. Is OneDrive restricted to Office version type? No, OneDrive is SharePoint. SharePoint is a document repository. So you can put an AutoCAD document there, a CorelDRAW document there, a Notepad text file there. Versioning will happen, notification will happen, but the specific features which I showed you within Office files, of course, require Office. Yes, I do agree with you. There is a question which says if multiple people are editing, if one person filters something, everyone gets that same filter. Yes, that is a limitation. And as of now, there is no solution for it. Hopefully, in the newer version, that will be solved. Yes, if you have links to Excel file, I'm saying special paste link kind of links, they do work with files stored in OneDrive and SharePoint. There is no special treatment required. All right, going further, can files shared in OneDrive be permanently deleted? Yes. OneDrive has, or rather, OneDrive has a recycle bin. But even if that recycle bin is clean, there is an administrative level recycle bin which can be used. It's basically SharePoint, so all the concept of SharePoint applies there. But if you delete it on OneDrive, obviously it will get deleted from your synced folder if you're online. Many of the features which I mentioned are available on OneDrive Personal. Some features like auditing, notifications, and other sophisticated versions are only available in the business version. But simultaneous editing is absolutely and completely available on Office 360, not just on Office 365 OneDrive, but also on Personal OneDrive. Okay, someone is appreciating the fact that IT's job is to deploy and HR's job is to deliver training programs. Yes, but sometimes we have to work together and work proactively so that what we have purchased is fully utilized. That's the whole job of IT as well as HR. The primary job is enablement, not just fulfillment. Next question. When we share a link to a customer, there are many chances that they can share it to some other. How do we keep it safe? Very good question. For that, you have to ask yourself, for 20 years, you have been sending the file as a link to customer. Can they not share it with others? Absolutely. You won't even know. At least in this case, you will know. But to answer your question more effectively, you use IRM, Information Rights Management, which is a part of Office 365. And that's a very important thing which many people don't know in spite of having that capability in their organization. Let me explain it in a little detail. I have a document, very confidential, and I want to send it only to head of R&D and head of marketing. Nobody else. I send it as CC or I send it as email, whatever. They can download a copy and send it to someone else. How do I prevent that? I prevent that by saying restrict editing. You go to File, Restrict Editing. Let me see if I can show you that menu. I go to File and I go to Protect Document, and in that I say Restrict Access. And right now I have not downloaded, this is a demo profile, but assuming this is done, it will actually show you they can only read, no forward, no printing, no copy paste. So that is how you manage confidential data. Now, that still doesn't prevent your VP of IT or VP of R&D from taking your competitor to a coffee shop and showing the document on his or her laptop. Obviously, there is no technology which prevents that, but there is a legality which prevents that, because as a CEO, you shared that only with two people and the document got leaked. So that those two people cannot deny that they did not leak it, because technically there was no way of leaking it. So that in technical or rather legal terms is called non-repudiation. It's more of a deterrent than a technological solution. Yes, Praveen is saying that I am giving too much information in a short time. I should give it in capsules. Yes, I understand, but idea is to create awareness, not create functional knowledge as to where to click and where to go. I'm sure you are smart enough to pick it up and utilize it. Is sharing of PowerPoint presentation available in 2010? Absolutely, it is available. Why did I save? Siddharth is asking a very talented question, intelligent. Why did I save that thing to temp instead of cloud? Because this was a very large video and I want to upload it after editing to cloud. If it was directly to be put on cloud, I would have put it on OneDrive directly. Some of the features which I've shown are available in 2010 as well, but Office 2013 gives you this kind of integration which 2010 doesn't. Here, all the shareable things are available in one click. So earlier we were clicking on my computer. Instead, I'm clicking on OneDrive. So from your point of view, there is no extra effort. So it's convenient, and that increases the chances of you utilizing it better. Okay, last two questions. I have one more problem. Many conversations I make with my suppliers and customers on Lumia phone, okay, stored in Microsoft account but cannot be viewed online. What kind of conversations I need to know, Nikita? If you can post something more right now, I can answer that. Otherwise, I need more details. But I have given you my email ID. You can send me a mail with more details, and of course, I will answer to that. That's it. We have come to the end of the questions. If you have any more, please post them now. Otherwise, thank you for attending. It was a pleasure addressing all of you. I still see a lot of people, almost all the people who started in the beginning still around, which is very nice. Do you provide regular training on such innovation? Yes, I do, but this is not the right forum to do a personal commercial talk. Send me an email and we will take it further. All right. So thank you. We are going to close the session now. If you have any more questions, send me a mail, but more importantly, follow my blog, and even more importantly, just explore what you have in Office, because as a person, you want to go deeper into your career so that you can grow in your career. Fair enough, but you don't realize that you're using Office every day for 3 to 4 hours. So if you don't know Office well, you're actually slowing down your growth. So whatever may be your role, whatever may be your level of success, whatever may be your position, you desperately need to know Office. That will accelerate your growth. That is the key message. Thank you.